What's up, y'all? I want y'all to take a good look at this right here. A real good look. Now, y'all know my policy, but I'm telling you, this, just this picture encompasses when you think of like computer nerds and just in general of just young American kids in the 90s. If you could look at this, this tells you everything. And this was one of my favorite pieces because Michelangelo had that belt. And I never got to see this blown up like this. This is the first time in my life that I really blown this up and looked at it and looked at the details. And it makes me remember the fights of the ships and then fighting the dinosaurs and then the Big Apple and then on the train. And this is one of the coldest games on Super Nintendo and just in general. It's one of the coldest games that I've ever played in my life. I will never forget Turtles in Time. It brings back so many memories. Because remember, I didn't have Turtles in Time till later. I didn't have Turtles in Time until later. My homie Q, that's how I learned about music, dressing, cracking jokes, all kind of just the culmination of just being fly. You know what I'm saying? I had a Sega Genesis at the time. And when Super Nintendo came out in 92, I think I might have had, I don't know when, I think I had the Genesis. Super Nintendo might have already been out when I got the Genesis, or I got it maybe a year or two before it came out. And man, when Super Nintendo came out and Donkey Kong Country came out, and then they had Turtles in Time. Let's do a little bit of Turtles in Time came out. Yep, it came out in 91, and on Super Nintendo it came out in 92. So I just want to look at the Hyperstone heist because my homie he wouldn't let me borrow Hyperstone heist on the weekend. I had won a Hyperstone. Okay, so a Hyperstone heist came out in North America, December 92. And Turtles in Time came out in 92, but I don't know when in 92. Turtles in Time came out in 92, they're saying. And in the arcade, it came out in 91. I never seen Hyperstone heist in an arcade. You could go to the arcade and play Turtles in Time. And I think that might have been the first time. Might have been at an arcade and played Turtles in Time at one point. But my homie Q, always fresh, charismatic. Anybody that listens to this live and knows him would know exactly who I'm talking about. He had Hyperstone heist. So when he borrowed it to me, this had to been 92 or maybe 93. It could have been 94, but I know that it was in one of those couple years or whatever because he had it and he borrowed it to me, but he wouldn't let me borrow it a whole, like I had to borrow it on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday and then get it back by Thursday because he wanted to have it by Friday. So I played it. You know, I had asked I think during my birthday, I had asked for a Genesis. And it was the old Genesis with the 16-bit. I can't remember if it was the black. I'm trying to think, was it the old Genesis? I'm trying to remember what Genesis it was. Because remember, there was one where it said 16-bit. Then there was one that was black. Let me see which one came out. Let's look this up. Okay, so the original system said 16-bit. Remember, Genesis already had a little bit of edge. I think I had this one. I can't remember. It might have been, but I don't know if I had the first one. I always wanted that one. I think it was this one right here. I think it was. So remember, Genesis had the edge on Super Nintendo, on Nintendo already. Nintendo was already 8-bit. Genesis was already rolling on 16-bit. So it came out in North America August 89. So my first Genesis was probably maybe 91, 92 or whatever. It was around about, in the US, it was around, they said it was around $189. And right now, if you bought it 2 years ago in 2023, that's like $400. You see what I'm saying? Like, right, I'm telling you, money went so much further then. So I had Sonic the Hedgehog. I had a few games, but I wasn't really satisfied. Once Donkey Kong Country came out, Donkey Kong Country, let's take a look at that. So when Donkey Kong Country came out, okay, that came out in 94. So that makes sense. I might have had probably got my Genesis in 94. This came out in November 94, so maybe earlier 94, maybe it came out. Maybe I got my Genesis. I'm not sure when I got it. But I just remember when I got it, I never really enjoyed it. So I want to tell y'all a story about that. Like, remember what I said on when my pops had left the house and stuff like that. I never really enjoyed it that much because it seemed like whenever I was playing it, he was always belly aching about it or something. So I got to the point where I was like, I don't even want this shit. So what I did is I asked him, could I trade it for a remote control car? There was one of these remote control cars, and that's another thing in my childhood that was big. We'll get back to Hyperstone, but it was a remote control car. Let me see. There was a remote control car. And I'm trying to remember which one it was. It wasn't a Fisher Price. Let me see. It was no, it was something a lot more robust than this. There was a group of remote control cars that was big. I think they were Tyco. Yeah, they were it was like a Tyco car. I think it was Tyco. It wasn't Fisher Price because that was like a real kitty car. But, and I remember this joint too. It was Nico or it was Tyco. It was one of those, I think. It was Nico or Tyco, or it was something like that, but it was really, really fast. It might have been this Nico Apache Thunder. It was a truck, or it was like one of these little buggies or something like that. But all I know is it was really, really fast. So I went outside and I would play with it for, a certain amount of time. And I would do that. So in my mind, I'm getting away from his BS in the house. I don't want to hear that shit all the time. There was always some bullshit going on. Drink my coffee so I get turned. So I traded it. I didn't want the Genesis no more because it was always seemed like it was a problem playing it for whatever reason it was. So I gathered up all my games. I asked him, could I trade it? And I traded to this white dude named Eric that stayed down the block on our block. Eric was always stealing stuff, so he would have knives. He would have all kind of stuff like that. He'd always have things. He'd always have something because a lot of times he'd be stealing stuff from people in the neighborhood or stealing stuff from other places. And so he'd have something, he'd sell it or he'd trade it to you. He had a brother that I was kicking it with named Thomas. And now Eric, he was more into the white side. Thomas was more into the black side. Now they were both white, but Thomas used to always hang around black folk. So that's who he hung. That's who Thomas always hung around. You see what I'm saying? So he took more to he took more into, so to say, he's leaning towards black culture, really. Eric really didn't. You know what I'm saying? Eric was completely different. His lingo was different. His, he was just a little different, but they were both brothers. And so eventually, me and Thomas used to hang out. I couldn't hang out with him no more because I think Erica came in the house one time. I was hanging out with him. He tried to steal something in the house and he got caught. My dad caught him. And so he basically he tried to steal a key out the house. And my dad caught him leaving the Eric was at my house and he left out the back door, so like another time he tried to steal something one time and one of the homies caught him and he was gonna beat him up or something like that. So it was always something going on. With him stealing some stuff or whatever. So now we stopped kind of hanging around. My dad was like, okay, you can't hang around them dudes no more. So, and I told him that. So it was kind of like, but anyway, we used to just be playing the game and stuff like that, playing kickball or doing what kids do, riding our bikes. I mean, back then, we would ride our bikes. We play the game too, but then we would go, we may go up to see the riverside or whatnot. As I got a little older, I started going up to see the riverside more. My parents didn't want me going up there because in I don't know why, but in their mind they were like, oh, the bad kids, quote unquote. But the thing is, nobody wasn't living middle to upper class, so that was kind of a misnomer, and I thought that was actually a bad idea, with the ideology of saying, well, don't go hanging up in them projects. I ended up there anyway. You only a couple blocks down. You could only make so many friends in the little area that we stayed. So, like I said, on the bus, I met Q through school. We had went to, I think it was maybe first or second grade or whatever the case may be. So with Hyperstone Heist, when that came out, I'm gonna say it was around 93. So let's say how old was I? I might have been, anywhere between, I wasn't 13, but anywhere between the ages of, 10, 11, 12 and stuff like that. So, that's what we would do sometimes. We would borrow games. Matter of fact, we knew this other white kid. He stayed in our same complex. Cause, and it was, he stayed in our complex and he had the Sega channel. So sometimes we would play the game with him. That's how I found out about, and that made me kind of want my Sega again. When I traded my Sega, I seen The Adventures of Batman and Robin. Now, let me see, what year did that come out? The one on Super Nintendo was cool, but it wasn't nothing like the one on because I love watching Batman the animated series. So The Adventures of Batman and Robin, that was the best game. Now, when they started doing The Adventures of Batman and Robin on Sega CD and everything, it was trash. But The Adventures of Batman and Robin on Sega Genesis, that reunited. That was one of Sega Genesis's best games. It was one of the coldest platform games that came out on Super Nintendo in '94. That wasn't 2-player; it was 1-player. But on Sega Genesis, that came out in '95. That came out in '95. But the one on Sega CD was horrible. The one on Sega CD was absolutely terrible. Now the one on Genesis, let me see, what kind of ratings did they get? On Sega Magazine, naturally, they gonna give it 82. Super Game Power, they gave it 3.5 out of 5, and then Mean Machine Sega 87 out of 100. The Super Nintendo, they gave it more favorable ratings for some reason. I don't know why, but the Sega CD, the one on Sega CD was absolutely horrible. It was absolutely terrible. I had the Sega CDX at that time. It was like a CD player and Sega CD all together, and it just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. I think I got that from Eric too. He must have stole that from somebody and he sold it to me, or he traded something to me or whatever like that. But eventually, that's where I bought it. But anyway, back to the Hyperstone Heist. The Hyperstone Heist came out in '92, so like '93 or '94. I'm thinking it could have been within those couple years. It came out in 92. So yeah, maybe 93, maybe 94. One of those couple years that I was playing it. So what I wanted to do, I said, I'm gonna start collecting some of these joints. You can find them on eBay a lot. So I went ahead and I don't even want to open the box. But this, I don't know if they redid the box or whatever the case may be, but I went ahead and got the Turtles in Time. I think it might have been like, I can't remember if it was $30 or $60. I don't know how much it was. But I don't think it's the original box. I really don't care. Because it would have a lot more wear and tear. I don't think it's the original box. I'm quite sure that it's not. But let's see. Let me open it up on live here. I don't think it's the original box. But I still kept it. A lot of these, when you buy them online, they clone. It don't really matter. But you can kind of tell through the wear and tear. If it has some wear and tear, this don't look like a brand new Turtles in Time. It could be a clone. But then maybe it's not. But whoever's doing it, like I haven't taken it out the box yet. This look like this the real box. It might be the real thing. I don't think it is. You know, and I personally, I really don't care. I really don't care. I know the game. I ain't even popped it in yet. But this is, it looked like they just redid it. And they be doing so many clones, and they be having so many clones and stuff like that. But I got Demon's Crest, I got Separation Anxiety. That was another dope one. The Separation Anxiety one, we were talking about that at work the other day. Maximum Carnage. But this is just something that, you know, like I said, I had to have it. I never had possession of this until I got older. But I never forgot about it. But it was just something that I want to have. It was just something that I want to have because I'll order a Super Nintendo. But yeah, so another thing I went and got, my homie gave me a Switch that he didn't want, so I went and got the Cowabunga collection. So basically that comes with, now I remember this in '89. That wasn't that good, but I still played it because at one point we had the Nintendo, but then they came out with the arcade game. Now that had to be that was just, I think, the arcade. No, that came out on Nintendo. And then so the arcade game on 1990, I did have that. And then Turtles in Time came out. And then, now this one was good, the Manhattan Project. That one was Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project. That came out on Nintendo. I had that one as a kid at one point. And they had one called Tournament Fighters. That wasn't no good. That wasn't no good at all. But this Cowabunga edition has them all. It has every single last one. So I could play that on Switch, or, you know what I'm saying? It came out on Switch, PlayStation 4, 5, Windows, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. You know, so, you know, anybody that wants to, if you don't want to go and get an emulator, or if you don't want to go ahead and just get, you know, you can just go ahead and do that. But like right here, somebody's selling it. They got Turtles in Time, and the box looks kind of janky. So it's probably, they got everything. They have all of it, and they probably just kept it. Now this one was renewed, so they probably just renewed it. They did something with it. I don't know what they did to get it, but you could easily get this stuff on eBay. You know, but all these games are gonna hit you for around $50 to $60, and they're gonna last. And if they break, you can just get you another one. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like something that you can't get. They're very, very easy to get. They're not hard to get, but you gonna pay. Like right here, they got Super Mario Brothers, but it's Amazon renewed. So people probably renew them. They might clone them. Super Mario World 1, 2, and 3. They're actually some good stuff for like if you got some little kids and you want something to be kind of pure. if you want something, I mean, these are kind of the purest games that they'll really be able to play, where there ain't no hidden agendas and a bunch of BS. They're gonna be able to play stuff like this where you're not gonna have, you're not really gonna have too many issues. I did a review before, and I might link this to that Super Mario review. I think I'm gonna do that. I don't even know if I'm gonna make this a story time or not. I might, but I get it is a story time. But I think that, you know, the new Super Mario Brothers. I did a whole review on that. I couldn't really see anything that was really funny. You know what? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I didn't see anything funny that would have been trying to brainwash kids and stuff like that. I didn't really see anything of that. They kept it pretty clean. They kept it pure. They did a damn good job at you know, upholding the legacy of Super Mario Brothers. So, you know, but anyway, yeah, that's Turtles in Time. I'm gonna throw some music behind here, and I'm gonna go ahead and upload this. And like I say, I'm giving y'all back-to-back story time, so we'll keep it going.
Technodrome, the final shell shock.